everyone, we are Geeks Not Nerds. I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Lindsay.
And Lindsay is my sister and is joining us on the program today. Lindsay, thanks for being here.
Hi.
Good to see you.
You too.
How are things?
Good, how are you?
So, last year, I did a couple of GNNs where I introduced you guys to my dad and then to my mom, and I thought it would be fun to go even further and introduce you to my sister.
Because I'm just that awesome.
Lindsay is, no, it's just because you're also family, so I felt like I just had to do, you know.
Thanks.
Yeah,
right.
You know, so you fit in that mold, so we had
Okay.
to knock you out at some point.
Okay.
And anyway, Lindsay is the youngest of our siblings. There were three of us, so we have a brother who is in the middle, and then Lindsay was right there at the end of us, and then our parents stopped having kids. So anyway, what we thought we would do is kind of like what I did with our folks. We'd kind of run through kind of our childhood together as far as the geeky pop culture stuff goes, and just reminisce a little bit about movies and TV and just whatever happens to come up. Obviously, this is going to be less about, like, you know, influences and things like it was with our folks, because and you should watch those because they're really cool. They're really interesting. We're kind of seeing how mom and dad's sensibilities and interests in things kind of molded and shaped me. So what this will be is just more what you and I were doing as siblings as I was growing up. So there's what, 4.5 years between us. Lindsay,
4.5.
Yeah, Lindsay was born in '89. I was born in '84, and Dennis Dennis is our brother, and he and Lindsay are a lot closer in age. And then there's this big gap between me and the both of them. And as we were growing up, you and I were certainly, I think, interested in a lot of the same things. I think we watched and played a lot of stuff together. Yep. When we were, you know, I mean, I don't want to say when we were little, because of course I was always a little bit older than you, but like we did the Power Ranger thing, and we did the video game thing. Let's start at video games. I remember when I was probably like 9 or 10, there was a lot of, like, Dennis and I would play side-scrolling games, and then, like, you would try them, but you couldn't really do them yet, and that sort of thing. What were some of your favorite things that we played?
Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Man, Donkey Kong was like the best game, because you would go and when you would jump over the barrels, and then Donkey Kong would fall sometimes, and that was funny. And then little Diddy Kong following behind him, that was fun. Donkey Kong was fun. What
would you say is the game that you were best at? Like, if there was a game that once you got old enough that you got a lot better, that you could actually trounce me and Dennis at, what was it?
Tetris.
Yeah, that's...
Totally.
Yeah, you were a really good Tetris player.
I'm awesome at Tetris.
Do you still play it all?
Yeah,
you still go back to it?
A little bit.
I was never a great puzzle gamer, but something else that you got really good at was Virtua Fighter.
Virtua Fighter was fun. I like to kick people's butts. Yep.
That was a game, and Dad and I talked about this, I think, a little bit. That was a game that we played a lot when we were both living in Arkansas, and then just like when we go down for summers and stuff. That we played a lot with Dad, and that was kind of one of our big pastimes. Weirdly, was Virtua Fighter, which is a game that nobody I know plays or ever played hardly.
But then it became, what was it, Mega Mix?
Yeah,
no, was
for
that
the Saturn.
The name of the game? Yeah, and it had all the Virtua Fighter characters, and it had the other ones.
And mixed with a now obscure game that no one talks about called Fighting Vipers.
Oh yeah, I played that once.
Did you really?
I did.
I played it once at an arcade, but I never saw a console version of it.
Yeah.
We were Sega kids, but we were also Nintendo kids. One of the things that was interesting growing up is that we had both, and I think a lot of people we knew were one or the other. And almost everybody I knew were Nintendo kids. I didn't know a lot of people that played Sega, but we did all of it.
We did, because we had it all. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Because with Sega Genesis, okay, so what's your favorite game on Sega Genesis?
On Genesis?
Yeah.
It's probably still, like a lot of people, Sonic 2.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of hard to get away from that. You're going to say Columns, aren't you?
No, I'm going to be a dork and I'm going to say Lion King.
Lion King was good.
Was
no,
awesome.
It was all right. I mean, it didn't hold a candle to Aladdin.
No, well...
You remember that game?
I kind of do, but Lion King was just much more fun.
No, you think?
I think so.
Okay, alright.
I liked it a lot better. It was an easier level game for me.
That's true.
So...
Yeah, that's hilarious. I hadn't thought about that in a long time.
Lion King was fun. I don't know. There was the... What was it? What was that game called in Nintendo... It wasn't... Was it for 64 that was like, you almost had it, that skiing game?
Yes! Yes! That is, okay, so the first thing that came to my mind was Hydro Thunder, which is not that game, but do you remember Hydro Thunder?
Yes!
Because that was Dreamcast.
I just can't remember names
right
now.
Well before that, it was Wave Race.
Wave Race!
You remember that?
Oh, dude.
We spent hours and hours mastering the tricks on Wave Race.
Doing the triple flips upside down.
Yes.
And the, like, going through the hoops and... I don't know. The one that was always the hardest for me was that one level where you went up the ramp, but if you dove hard enough underneath and you went through the rings, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it took you a while to figure out how to get down there, but once you got it, then it was really fun playing that level because you could go. There were a couple different directions you could go with it and stuff. But you remember if you couldn't do there was a version of that level where if you couldn't do that dive, you just hit the wall and then you had to go around.
I know.
That game was wonderfully challenging, and for the time. It looked really great. I mean, it was a big deal during the 64 era that you'd have a game like that had like all of these different kinds of weather and stuff. You remember, there's one level of that was like really foggy. And I don't know, at the time, having grown up with 8 and 16-bit stuff, having 3D was a novelty in general. Just I don't mean 3D like we think of 3D now with like going to 3D movies. I mean like you're playing in 3 dimensions. That was already a big enough novelty, but then to have that kind of interactive sorts of environments, that was kind of a big deal. Do you remember other stuff on 64?
What else do I remember?
Boy, I hadn't thought of Wave Race in a long
Mario
time
Kart
either.
64.
Oh yeah.
Still, those battle rounds, those are fun.
Yeah, that is still my well. It
had really great graphics for 64.
Yeah, sure, and I mean and like that was. We already had one Mario Kart game on Super Nintendo, but like every other Mario Kart since then has taken the major dynamics of that game and ran with them. I mean, like the sound effects for you get the question mark block and it spins. That never changed. There's a lot of stuff that they've kept the same. But what's cool is now with the new Mario Kart that just came out, they've brought back certain things that go all the way back to even the beginning. Like they brought back the coin system and stuff. So it's kind of cool how like it wasn't broken and they haven't tried too hard to fix it. You know what I mean? Like we're doing new ones and we're innovating and adding things to it, but it's still what it always was.
And Bowser is still slow.
And Bowser is still, so we were playing that earlier today, and Lindsay picks Bowser, and then I wasn't even thinking, and I did not do this on purpose. I wasn't even thinking, and I said, let's do the hardest cup in the game. And Lindsay goes, but I picked Bowser.
And Bowser on the hardest cup, because the hardest cup has a lot of those turns where you fall off, and Bowser he can't turn. He's just so heavy, he cannot turn. But I made the mistake of putting him in a monster truck, so and it was pink.
And it was a pink monster truck.
And it had a sunflower.
And then it had a sunflower when you were gliding. So,
totally worth it.
I don't remember, because, okay, so there are certain things from when we were kids that I remember doing, but I don't remember if I did them with you necessarily, because there was stuff that I did with Dennis, and then there was that period where Dennis and I lived together with Dad where you weren't even around, so there's certain things in my mind where I'm like, was Lindsay there for that? Did you play 007 with us on the 64?
I did.
I wanted to say you did, that was a thing we did a lot.
007 was hard for me, because games like that make me sick, because of my motion sickness.
Really?
Yeah, it's really terrible. But 007 was one of those that I know. I can't play Spyro because it makes me sick.
Oh, okay, all right.
But 007, I finally got to where I could play. And that was fun, because you go around the corner and then there'd be somebody there and you shoot them.
And you just shoot people, yeah. Did you play, like Quake with us?
I didn't play Quake.
I couldn't remember if you ever played that. That was a Dreamcast thing. And I think by the time I got Dreamcast, you weren't really living where I was living.
No, I was. Well, I don't know if I was, but I know visiting and stuff, I played the Dreamcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember, because remember...
we had that one game.
So you remember House the Dead...
Yes.
Was like my dad and another of our favorite things to do.
God.
And it scared the crap out of she was terrified of that game.
But I mean, I was kind of scared, but I really wanted to play it, and every time I played it, I had a nightmare. It was horrible.
Really?
And nowadays, like, I can't even watch stuff in sleep. Like, it's terrible. I have nightmares. I had a nightmare about the Wicked Witch of the West one night. It's horrible. That has not happened to me. That didn't happen to me as a kid, except for Chucky.
So, okay. Now, we're jumping all over the place, and I want to get back to
Yeah.
video games, but... So, did you actually watch that with us?
Yes, because...
You watched Child's Play?
I kind of had to. Dad kind of made me watch that.
Wow.
I
didn't remember that.
Yeah.
That's not right.
No, I was 7.
Wow, I didn't remember that.
And I still slept with dolls.
Okay, that's a little bit terrifying.
It was terrifying.
That movie, when I was a kid, it didn't, like... I don't know. It didn't freak me out to the point where I had nightmares or whatever, but it left an impression on me. And Vince and I did a video recently, or somewhat recently, about the movies that scared us when we were kids that we shouldn't have necessarily watched when we were kids.
Brave Little Toaster.
And yeah. That was on the list. Well, and to be fair, that's not like a shouldn't have watched it. It's how did that scare me and stuff.
Because you said it was the air conditioner.
I went back. That's freaking. And you know what? I went back to it and I figured I would watch it again and be like, I don't understand why this bothered me. No, I still completely understood why it freaked me out. But anyway, so you said yeah, Child's Play. That movie. I mean, like, yeah, I watched it before I should have, but like. Something about it kind of appealed to me when I was a kid. I think it was just that kind of like, ooh, I'm too young to watch this. It's scary. Isn't that cool that I'm watching it? You know what I mean? You probably didn't have that. It probably just bothered you, right? Like
that one bothered me just because I was sleeping with dolls. That's why that one bothered me. And now, like, it still freaks me out. I can't watch Chucky. He just freaks me out. He's in my nightmares occasionally.
I'm not a slasher, really.
Yeah.
But I'm not a slasher film fan, so like.
Well, and it was. I'm not either.
I can do without that stuff.
I try to watch horror movies occasionally, and then I realize that I can't. I tried to watch Mirrors with Kiefer Sutherland. Do you remember that?
I don't know that movie, but I love Kiefer Sutherland.
Well, and he's actually the good guy in that movie, which is
yeah.
Well,
no, he plays a lot of good guys, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's where you go around and the mirrors are like the mirror version of yourself is your evil self, and so
when was this made?
I want to say 09 or 10.
Oh, really? So it's recent?
Something like that.
I didn't even know about that. Is it any good?
I only got halfway through it because it scared me.
Because it scared you too much?
Because I knew that I was going to go by a mirror and wonder if my evil self was going to kill me.
Oh, Lindsay. Wow.
I know. And I know it's silly.
You got to separate your fiction from your reality. But I completely understand, how stuff, it's hard not to think about it.
But anyway, House of the Dead.
Well, yeah, but let me just say that's really cool that you mentioned a Kiefer Sutherland movie I didn't know, because now I want to watch that. But have you ever seen Flatliners?
Yes. I love Flatliners.
I love Flatliners. Anyway, House of the... I didn't really have anything else to say about that, except it's just hilarious that...
And the second one's more hilarious with the exploding frogs.
Well, yeah, that's the one we're talking about, because the original House of the Dead I don't think even had a platforming port. What we played was House of the Dead 2, and then House of the Dead 3 later there was a port for Wii, but like the one we were playing was House of the Dead 2. I think maybe we played the original at an arcade somewhere, but it started as an arcade game and didn't get a port.
Okay.
As far as I know, I've never played it outside of arcade. Anyway, let's see, what I don't know, what else video game-wise before we move on, because now that I'm thinking about it, that's kind of one of the big things you and I did together. And I've never even really thought that hard about it until just now, but like, yeah, we played video games. That's kind of what we did.
Yeah, we played video games a lot, and, Mario Paint.
You remember Mario Paint?
I love Mario Paint. Mario Paint was fun because the music section of it, with the whole... you put like a mushroom in there and then it had a certain sound.
Yeah, right.
And just making random songs with random sound effects just to see how cool you can make it sound.
I mean, it's super outdated now, but I loved
sound.
it. Yeah, And then there was the dog and the cat. Yeah.
That was fun.
But yeah, we played a lot of that. Boy, what else did we play?
What was the one that you played? It was the night... Nights.
Yeah,
just Nights.
Nights into Dreams was the Saturn. Yeah, you're remembering all the Sega stuff. Well, what I was going to say is I recently actually did a playthrough for that. on the channel, and it was really fun going back to it. I did a video where I played that and taught Brandon how to play it, which was kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, you know, we played all the obvious stuff. Now, did you? I don't remember. Did you ever get really good at Sonic? Was Sonic just a thing you didn't really dabble into?
I liked Sonic, but I didn't go very far into it. Like, it was a fun game to play every once in a while, but I didn't go...
You didn't play it like I did?
No, not like you did. I watched you play it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, honestly, I think at Dad's house, I was probably the only person that ever played Sonic as hard as I played it.
Well, I was more into the racing games and the fighting games.
And the puzzle games.
And the puzzle games. Yep, Tetris, and then there was one on Dreamcast we used to play that was like the swirlies that you had to match.
Yeah, and do you remember that was the game that they, and I don't know why that was the game that they were pushing the online really hard with. Like when Dreamcast came out, that was the first, if memory serves, that was actually the first go online system, I think, even before PlayStation did it.
Yeah, it was.
And I think. And then and it was like, look, there's this puzzle game you can go online and play, and it was just like, why a puzzle game? That's so weird. But anyway, yeah, I didn't play a lot of that one. But I mentioned Columns. That was a game we played a lot.
Yeah.
You remember Cool Spot on Genesis?
Cool Spot. Yes.
Remember we played that a lot.
Yeah, we played Cool Spot, and
Bubsy.
we played The Tick and Ninja Turtles on Nintendo.
Well, which Ninja Turtles are we talking?
I don't know. The only picture I have in my head is where the Ninja Turtles go down the ladder and they're in the sewer.
Yeah, so you're talking old school NES.
Yeah, old school.
Freaking impossible. Have you ever seen the AVGN review of that? Okay, I'll show you that at some point because it's hilarious. Cause he's got this section where he's trying to get across a spot. And he keeps trying to jump and he can't make it work. And in like an hour, he does this forever. And finally, you can just walk over it. And I just always thought that was hilarious.
That's funny.
Anyway, what else you want to talk about? Where else should we jump? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you and I have not talked about in a long, long time.
I know.
Cartoon stuff when we were kids. We watched
Powerpuff Girls.
A lot of Powerpuff. Well, and that's later. I mean, I was even going to go before that, but yes,
Okay.
Powerpuff Girls is a huge thing that Lindsay and I always had in common. And why don't we put a pin in that and we'll come back to it? Because I want to talk about that and I want to talk about Iron Man. But before we get there, look at her face when anybody
awesome.
just says Iron Man. Anyway, before we get there, so when we were younger, and when you were even a lot younger than I'm thinking, when I was watching stuff, we watched a lot of the Fox cartoons. We were watching like Pinky and the Brain, and Animaniacs, and Tiny Toons, and all that stuff. And it occurs to me that a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, there was always a video game correlation because I think we played a whole lot of tie-ins. So we're watching Tiny Toons, but then we're playing the Genesis Tiny Toons. There's a whole lot of that. We were also renters. We rented a lot of video games.
We did. We rented a ton of video games. I don't even remember half the stuff we rented.
I don't remember half the stuff we owned because we were always renting. There were a lot of games that I think about that we played a lot that I'm like, did we ever actually have a copy of that, or did we just always rent it? And there were a lot of things where we went back over and over again and rented it. And I'm like, as many times we've rented it, we probably could have bought it by now. There was a lot of that.
I think Mortal Kombat we played a couple of times.
Yeah, there were a lot of fighting games and things like that we. Well, and I was even thinking like. Yeah, I was even thinking like Tekken and stuff. There were things that we played some, but we just never actually bought. But yeah, and you remember like weird puzzle games like Pack Attack. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember.
That was one we rented but never had. But anyway,
there was one game that we rented that had like multiple arcade games on it, like Galaga.
And,
and that sort of stuff.
And there was tons of those all over the place, but yeah, and we were also an arcade family. I mean, whenever there was an arcade around, we went a lot. When we lived in Lawrence, before we went back to Arkansas, there used to be an arcade there, an actual legitimate arcade there with a lot of pinball machines and stuff called Aladdin's Castle. I don't know if you recall that. Did you ever play the Jurassic Park pinball machine?
Yes.
Do you remember it?
Yes.
It had I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but this is one of my, if I could find it again, oh man, that and Maverick, of all things, those are like two of the coolest pinball machines. If I could find that again. So there's a T-Rex head, and you shoot the balls up into the T-Rex head, and then he roars and he shoots them back out at you. Anyway, that was really cool.
And now the only pinball I play is on my tablet. It is terrible.
We do live in that age, don't we?
I know.
And I miss pinball machines. It's hard to go find them now.
Yeah, there were a couple at Chuck E. Cheese today.
There was
But we
one.
never played
They
it.
had an Elvis one, and that's all they had.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
fun.
yes. So I like Lindsay and I haven't just hung out in a long time, and that's probably why we decided to make this video, because we just happened to be hanging out together. And yeah, what did we do when we were hanging? We went out to Chuck E. Cheese and we played video games.
We did. It was pretty awesome.
But yeah. TV shows.
Bowling game.
We're playing this. Anyway, this is the dumbest arcade machine. We're playing this bowling game. It's like this weird hybrid thing of like you physically bowl, but then there's a screen.
Mm-hmm.
So you throw the ball and then it goes underneath the thing, and then you watch the screen and you see where your ball goes. It's an interesting concept. The problem is there's this giant bar that's hard to get the ball under, so Lindsay kept throwing it and the ball would bounce back at us, and I just could not stop. Anyway, you had to be there.
I think I hit it like 4 times before I finally just pushed it under.
Favorite cartoon shows?
Oh, favorite cartoon shows. Okay, as stupid as it was, Johnny Bravo was kind of fun.
Lindsay was really into the Cartoon Network stuff. You remember we watched.
It used to be good.
Yeah, I
and
know.
Now it's.
I'm with you. I don't care for a lot now. I'm told by a lot of people that I should be watching Adventure Time. I haven't given that a chance yet. Maybe I ought to.
I happened to see an episode of Adventure Time when I was waiting to put tags on our new van.
Did you like it?
And it was interesting. Like, they tried to make a really good point out of something. You know, they're trying to teach kids
yeah.
but they're doing it in a really stupid way.
Oh yeah.
It just
Okay. Right.
I don't know.
I've got. I mean,
good morals.
I'm treading lightly because I got a couple friends that are huge into that show, but I just haven't given it a shot yet. So
sorry.
I have no. It's cool, but I have no opinion because I haven't watched it yet. But anyway, the big Cartoon Network stuff, Dexter's Lab.
Mm-hmm.
And then later Powerpuff Girls, but even before that, we had Dexter, and I want to say you and I watched a ton of that because I used to make fun of you and call you Dee Dee, you remember?
Yep, how was Dee Dee?
Yeah, man, sorry about that.
I did a lot of stupid stuff growing up.
Yeah, but it makes for good stories now.
Yeah, it does. That's true.
I love my sister, I really do. So anyway,
if you knew about half the stuff I did when I was teaching, yeah. It'd make for really good stories.
Oh,
too.
you'll have to tell me later. Anyway, so we got Dexter's Lab.
Uh-huh.
Remember Cow and Chicken?
Cow and Chicken.
Remember Cow and Chicken?
Oh man.
I'm not gonna say that was a good show, but
no, but we got Jeff into that show.
Did we really?
I think we did.
I don't remember that.
'Cause he thought it was stupid, and then we made him sit down and watch it, and he's like, okay.
Johnny Bravo. Did you remember the Adam West episode of Johnny Bravo?
Yes.
There's this episode
awesome.
where Adam West is just Adam West, but he talks like Adam West Batman, and every time he does any mundane task, there is a sound effects word that accompanies it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this part where he's running, and then he jumps, and then there's a little word underneath him that says, jump! And that's always funny. And remember the Scooby-Doo episode of Johnny Bravo? Johnny Bravo did a lot of kind of TV throwback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Cartoon Network at the time was all about throwing back to 60s and 70s. And then I want to say probably the biggest thing that we were all into with Cartoon Network before Powerpuff Girls came around was Cartoon Planet, Brack and Zorag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were huge into Brack and Zorag.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about Brack and Zorak. You know, it's funny because I don't really forget about Brack, but the whole Cartoon Planet, in general,
yeah.
I kind of forgot about, which is weird because it was, like you said, a big deal with us.
Well, yeah, we loved it. We watched it all the time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and what's funny is, I don't think we watched Space Ghost Coast to Coast all that much. I think Cartoon Planet was the one we were watching the most.
We did a little bit, but
it was always on really late.
It was on really late, and the only time we really
pre-Adult
watched
Swim
it
days
was when we were with Dad.
Yeah.
So when we visited Dad, because here we had a curfew at 9 o'clock, so we couldn't watch it
or whatever it was. Yeah,
yeah.
But yeah. So we I don't know. I think a lot of it was just the Brack songs because they were hilarious. And
somebody left the cake out in the rain.
I was gonna eat that cake, but now it's all wet, and I don't think I want any. What else? So you had the Fox stuff, you had the Cartoon Network stuff, and I mean, I'm sure we watched
Spider-Man and Friends.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends? I don't remember doing a lot of that. I mean,
I did.
Did you really?
I think I did.
For me, it was more the 90s stuff. It was more like the 90s Spider-Man, the 90s X-Men.
Well, yeah. I mean, I watched that, but later on, after you were gone all the time, then I kind of kept watching Spider-Man. And, yeah. And Batman, the Batman animated series.
Oh, of course.
We watched that all the time,
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
That was another one that we watched a lot, besides Animaniacs. But, I don't know, I still remember one day before preschool, I know I was like 4, this was way before then, right? One day before preschool, I was watching Sesame Street before I went to school. So Sesame Street was kind of big beforehand, but I don't know. Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
I would come home and I wanted to watch Power Rangers so bad, and I would get mad. There was one day I was really mad because I wanted to watch Power Rangers. It was on right after kindergarten. I was in kindergarten. I remember this. And I came home. My mom was watching Oprah. She was sitting in her chair. She was watching Oprah.
You told me this story.
Yes. And I told her, I said, Mom, I want to watch Power Rangers. And she goes, but I'm watching Oprah. You can't watch it right now. And I said, but I want to watch Power Rangers. I threw the biggest fit in the world. I still didn't get to watch it, but that's okay.
Well, and like, Power Rangers wasn't really something we watched a lot of when we were at Mom's house. That was another thing that we did when we were...
I tried to, but that was also when I was living with Mom and you were living with Dad.
Right.
That was that year.
Right.
So, but that's okay. I got to watch it later.
Who was your favorite all-time Power Rangers character?
My all-time favorite? Okay, growing up, it was the Pink Ranger, because I was a girl, and I liked pink, and now I can't stand her.
I still like Kimberly, but yeah.
I don't know, that episode we watched today.
Yeah, we were kind of going back and reminiscing earlier, and we were watching some Power Rangers.
Yeah, and I was like, when she goes, yes.
Yeah, you were like, no.
Okay. I liked the pink one. I liked the yellow one because they were girls, and I was a girl. I always was them when we were playing Power Rangers around the house.
Yeah. No, I mean, naturally.
We had Power Ranger fights. It was awesome.
We did. We had a lot of Power Ranger fights.
We had the weapons and the...
You remember that? You remember the Gold Ranger staff?
Fun. Yes, but I always used the pterodactyl. The weapon.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was called, but...
Well, you remember, we'd have crazy, like, we'in tournaments in the backyard, and we'd have all these different plastic weapons laid out.
In the middle of Dad's living room.
We did. We built a lot of, yeah. I was going to ask you if you remember all that, yeah.
Yep.
I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Well, yeah, that was like one of my favorite things we did as a kid.
It was a lot of fun. We would just make up all these crazy games around these giant, elaborate, like, blanket forts we'd build around the house, and we'd make these kind of mazes, and we'd have like weapons strewn around, not real ones, but we have plastic weapons strewn around in different parts of it. So you'd walk in unarmed, but then you go find one, and then and we just made up rules and. I don't remember that.
I do.
Wow.
Yep. We
that adds to the difficulty, doesn't it?
It does. I don't remember why we were blindfolded, but for some reason, we were trying to see if, like, your T-shirt or something, you could see through it. I remember that. I don't know.
That's weird.
I remember the weirdest stuff. And when you pulled out my tooth, that was funny.
Oh, I remember that too. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, this is a strange thing to make a video about, but we just, I don't know, Lindsay and I haven't talked about this stuff in a long time. It's kind of fun to go back and because, obviously, there were a lot of years there and a lot of fun geeky stuff. Obviously, we, well, let's see. So we had video games. We had what movies do you remember most?
I remember we went to the theater to see the Power Rangers movie.
Oh yeah,
we did with the ooze. That was fun. Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
we watched Jurassic Park growing up, and Star Wars and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know, just your typical geeky movies. There wasn't a whole lot of other stuff that we watched. We were watching all the nerdy stuff, especially at Dad's house.
So Powerpuff Girls.
Yes.
Is I think probably remains one of my very favorite things, and I mean I'm reading the comics now. I'm still very into that thing. And do you remember? It was something that you and I had discovered because we were watching all the Cartoon Network stuff, and I want to say that that you probably saw this with me. We saw the Powerpuff Girls stuff in Cartoon before it even went to series. Do you remember that? You remember the cartoon show would give you like a little pilot episode of that stuff, and then people would vote on what their favorite ones were, and cartoon that was a thing, because you remember the thing with Fuzzy Lumpkins and the and the drumstick.
Yeah, Fuzzy Lumpkins and the drumstick. Yeah, that was funny.
That was that episode. And so anyway, so that show started, and we watched it religiously. We loved that show. It was hilarious. And I think you and I latched on to the same characters. You know, it was Bubbles, and it was Mojo Jojo, and it was the mayor.
Yep. Although, I mean, it was funny because we kind of got Dennis into it, and he never really got into it. But when you won us out of a claw machine, he won big giant Powerpuff Girls, and I have to say that I just gave those away to a friend. I'm sorry.
What?
But
what?
I know.
I've been looking for those. I thought I had those.
I had them. I'm sorry, and now they belong to a kid.
Well, that's okay. I hope that
they went
kid
to a
enjoys
good
them.
home. She should. They were pretty run down.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, whatever.
But
that's okay.
He won us.
I'll kick you in the face.
The Powerpuff Girls. They had big giant heads and little tiny bodies.
Oh,
and
and I won all three of them. It was
and
awesome.
He had Bubbles, and I had Buttercup, and Dennis. No, I had Blossom, and Dennis had Buttercup. Yeah, because
Dennis always loved Buttercup.
Because of the colors as well, and Buttercup was like.
That's so superficial, but it's true.
Buttercup was just the tomboy out of the three of them. You know, and Blossom was the leader, and Bubbles was just like,
I guess naturally Dennis just really just gravitated more toward her because A, she was the tough one, and B, she was the one that you and I didn't pick, you know, and because I always love Bubbles more than anything.
Well, you pick Bubbles, and then you're like, here, you're Blossom and you're Buttercup.
but I don't know if you remember this. So one thing we used to do, I may be revealing far too much about myself right now. One thing we used to...
He's a girl at heart, it's okay.
I'm not, and that's not where I was going with this. Something that we used to do a lot of is we would give stuffed animals voices. And we would do kind of improv games. And Dennis did a hilarious Buttercup. I don't know if you remember this, but he did this Buttercup voice.
He did.
And it was great.
I was never good at voices growing up. I was never good at it.
It was the thing Dad and I did.
Well, and it was funny because with Blossom, I didn't really have to do a voice, so I was okay with that.
Yeah, that's true, because she's got just kind of a normal,
it's just a normal voice,
middle of the road. Yeah. But anyway, so at one point, coming back to where our mom lives in Lawrence, Kansas, our stepdad and our mom at some point on accident kind of ran into Powerpuff Girls, and they didn't understand it, and they thought it was very strange, and they were like, "Why do you guys like this?" And it didn't take long before they kind of got Powerpuff Girl fever also. And it became this weird family thing that everybody did together.
Well, and it's hilarious because we were so into it that when I meet other people and I talk about it, they're like, what are you talking about? Like, they have no idea. It's hilarious. So I got really excited because, growing up as a kid, your family always finds things that they can get you that you collect, right? So I was getting a ton of Powerpuff Girl stuff.
And this was around the time that Powerpuff Girls was actually starting to wane a little bit in popularity.
Yeah.
So I was finding it at yard sales everywhere.
Yeah.
Every weekend I could go to a yard sale and find some Powerpuff Girl thing that we didn't have already.
Mm-hmm. So I kept a couple of the things, but it was funny because... my husband and I just moved, and so we were trying to get rid of some stuff, and I went ahead and tried to sell some of the Powerpuff Girl stuff, out on the table, and there were a couple of kids who come up, and they're like, they just got really excited, like, oh, Powerpuff Girls, and I'm like, I will give you a really good deal for that, because I could tell they knew what it was. They didn't want to take it home, but that's okay. Their dad wasn't too happy about it.
Yeah. So Lindsay and I have always had these kind of weird gift-giving rituals. It used to be Powerpuff Girls. I used to get Lindsay Powerpuff Girl stuff.
I have a cookie jar and a snow globe. That is awesome.
Yeah, the snow globe's really cool.
It's pretty cool. And so is my cookie jar.
It used to be like every Christmas, birthday, and sometimes just randomly on a whim, I would give Lindsay Powerpuff Girl stuff. And for a very long time, after a certain point, that transitioned into Iron Man.
Yep.
And here's the deal with Iron Man.
He's the coolest.
Lindsay was an enormous Iron Man freak. And
I still am.
No.
There's no was about that.
No. I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
This is remember that Lindsay is not like the biggest superhero fanatic, but loves Iron Man. So before Iron Man was the big thing it is now, Lindsay was huge in Iron Man. And this is because the thing is now it's not really that unusual to be an Iron Man fan. But like you were, yeah, but like you, well, but it's not because now you've got really good movies and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you got more merchandising. But
I got really happy when the movies came out. I was really excited.
It used to be that Lindsay would every so often come up to me and be like, "Okay, so when's that Iron Man movie finally going to come out?" We were sitting around 05, 06, we kept hearing there was going to be an Iron Man movie. And this is before we really understood that Marvel Studios was happening and was going to be a thing and that there was going to be this whole continuity with them. And so at the time, it was sort of like, you know, Daredevil and Elektra and those things where it was just Spider-Man, was another superhero movie. And we were waiting for it to finally happen. And then it happened and it exploded. But I was already giving you Iron Man stuff regularly before that happened. And I just think that's really interesting that was your character.
Yeah.
Why was that your character?
Iron Man's pretty awesome because, well, I mean, with Batman and with, you know, Spider-Man, I mean, Spider-Man got bit by a spider and all of a sudden he's like, ooh, I need to save the world. So, you know, there was something that happened with him. Batman, his parents died and he eventually figured out he needed to avenge, you know, his parents' death and save the world. Iron Man, he's a geek, he's an engineer, and he just, when the shrapnel, you know, got into his body and it was gonna, you know, kill him essentially, he found something to make him live, and then all of a sudden he's like, ooh, I could do something really cool with this. So it wasn't about revenge, it wasn't about anything else, it was just, I have an idea, I'm gonna do this. And that's kind of how I am. When I have an idea, I'm like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
So we can kind of relate.
I can see that, because I always wondered what made him so relatable to you.
Yeah, and he's just cool. He's got that attitude, and he'd be like my best friend, honestly.
See, because you never struck me before the whole Iron Man thing as like a big like machines and robot person. Like we didn't really grow up with Transformers. We weren't really into a lot of that stuff. So I always wondered why it was the guy in the metal suit.
Well, and it's because he's not all powerful. I mean, well, it's kind of like Batman. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand.
They're both
not
super
all
rich.
Powerful. Yeah, they're both super rich.
And geniuses.
They're geniuses. Now, Tony Stark is totally a player, but that's okay. And he just, he turned a bad situation into a good situation, and I like it when people do that.
No, that's really cool.
That's kind of cool. And his suit is really awesome.
We haven't talked about this, I don't think. What was your reaction to 3?
To 3. Okay. At some point, they kind of run together. To 3.
Like, how did you feel about the Mandarin thing? Like,
Mandarin,
were you okay
that's
with that? Because a lot of people didn't like it, and I just wanted to ask you what you... Because I know you were waiting for Mandarin for a long time.
I was waiting for Mandarin.
And you knew
for
who
a long
Mandarin
time.
was before people knew what Iron Man was, right?
I did, and the way they did that, honestly, was pretty cool. I liked the twist that they put on it, but it was, I don't know, just the whole, my name is Trevor, I'm an actor. Like, it was literally, I almost was on the floor laughing. It was so funny. But I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fine. I didn't have really any problems with it.
But you would have liked to see the ring thing.
Yeah, I was really kind of disappointed with the 10 rings because didn't they relate to it as like a whole group of people instead of like actual rings?
Yeah, but I think it still was that. It was just that he's wearing rings as a prop thing.
Okay.
But yeah, they set up the 10 ring things in the first movie.
Yeah, because that was kind of weird where it seemed more like a...
But I'm just saying that, like...
a group of people.
But I'm just saying, like, were you one of the people that was hoping eventually that they would just go full-blown magic rings?
Yeah, I kind of was.
It's looking like there's a possibility that they will actually backtrack and do that at some point now. But
interesting. But,
anyway.
I mean, the way that they went with the first movie and then in the second one, I mean, I kind of was okay that they didn't do that just because of the direction they went with the whole story. But, I was disappointed, but I got over it, so it's not that big of a deal.
Avengers
is awesome. That's about all I have to say about it. Thor and Iron Man together is like magic. It was pretty cool. I don't know. That whole comment about Thor's cape being curtains.
Oh yeah,
You remember that?
I forgot about that.
That was pretty funny. Although, okay, here's what I have to ask you about.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember if this happened. I don't remember reading this in the comics. Did War Machine become Iron Patriot in the comics?
Well, that's recently happened. I don't honestly remember what came first because I haven't been really keeping up with it. But the thing is, a lot of stuff that they're doing right now is from really recent stuff. So if you haven't been keeping up in the last 5-10 years, because I mean, Winter Soldier came from an arc from mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s with Brubaker. So yeah, but I mean, there's an Iron Patriot monthly right now coming out, and it is Rhodey.
Okay.
So they're doing it now.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. I still think I thought it was funny too in the movie when Tony's like, "What's your password?" War Machine Rocks. He was all ashamed that he still liked that name a lot better than Iron Patriot. I do too, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you, but
yeah.
And then I don't know if you know this, the whole thing with Pepper putting on a suit is also a comic book thing.
Yeah, I knew about that one.
You know about the rescue thing?
I don't know if I know about the rescue thing, but I know.
But that's what I'm talking about. She was a superhero in her own costume for a while called Rescue.
Oh,
and
no, I don't.
And that's what they're alluding to there.
Oh, okay.
When they put her in a suit, yeah. So anyway, what else do you want to talk about? Any other cool geeky stuff that we ought to bring out that we haven't talked about?
I don't know. When are they going to do another Avengers movie?
That's next year.
Next year. Okay.
Yeah, that's the end of Phase 2. So we got Guardians, and then the very next thing coming is Avengers 2, and then we get Ant-Man after that.
Okay, gotcha. Are they going to do a third Thor?
I would be very surprised if they didn't. I don't know that it's been greenlit, but I don't know. I know we're getting Captain America 3 in 16.
The second one just came out, didn't it? Or has it come out yet?
What are we talking about? Winter Soldier?
No, Captain America.
Yeah, Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you need to see that.
Okay. Sorry.
No.
Haven't had a chance yet.
No, I'm just saying it is the greatest thing they've done so far.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fantastic and changes everything. It's a big deal. So anyway, yeah, I'd really make sure you see that because it's a big deal. And is right now, I mean, it's still recent enough that I kind of hesitate to say this, but boy, it's probably in my top 5 superhero films of all time right now. Right. And it's Captain America. I'm not even a big Captain America fan, but it's such a good film.
Well, the first one was really good.
Yeah, but Winter Soldier is about 3 times better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
I'll have to see it.
Yeah. Anyway. So this is Lindsay. And thanks for watching. We sure appreciate it. Lindsay, come back again at some point.
Okay.
Maybe we'll review something. Maybe we'll talk about something more specific. But it'd be fun. You should come back.
Have you reviewed the Powerpuff Girls movie yet?
I did it on Rewind. Yeah. But I mean, those things I do scripted anyway. But you and I should go see something new at some point. And do a first reaction kind of review.
We should. I'm a lot closer now, so that'll work.
We should do that. Well, anyway, thanks for watching. We sure appreciate it. And I will see you again with Vince next time. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Lindsay.
See ya.
Bye.